Okay, we are back here again today. It's an overcast, cool day, and we're going to spend a little bit of time. I'm going to pop those corner braces I put on. I'm going to pop those off. They'll not be needed now since we're dismantling the cabin. I'm going to pop those off and then work on another wall. Okay, I decided I'm going to do that other end wall. Take you down and show you what I got to do first, though. You can see, I'm back up here a little bit. So at one point it was a full doorway. Great filming. And then he framed in, put in this one single 2x4 and then hinged the door off of it. No big deal, I could pop it off easy, but he used Phillips head screws and I only have Torx bits out here. So we're just gonna have to get a little aggressive with it, get this doorway out so I can go in and out. That's fantastic. That's a lot more solid than I thought it was. I hate to tear this up any more than I have to. Just had to say please. Inspectors are back. Luckily they're pretty nice. Bingley, stay. Yeah, buddy? Yeah? Bingley, stay. Yeah, he's just a nice guy. Bingley, stay back. The other one's a little more standoffish. And Bingley is not having any of it. Come on, get back up here. Bingley. I'm getting a little better at it. Or maybe these are just better boards, but I got almost all the tongue, or I'm sorry, almost all the groove and all the tongue on that one. What are you doing? No, yeah. Don't come in here. Can you guys see this? Look at this dude. Hey, hey. Walk back out, man. There's nails and all kinds of stuff. Come on. Go do something else. Come on. What? What? Oh, you want to test? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Here I thought it was going to be hard to get work done with the dog. What are you doing, buddy? You just really had to come check stuff out. None of that is food, man. He's sweet, but he's really complicating my work here. Well, we had a little break in action. Steer keeps coming around. Bingley's freaking out. Can feel his heart racing about 1,000,000 miles an hour. Leave my tripod alone. Hey, hey. No, don't lick it. Go on. He's just shivering with fear. You're about the size of his left ear. You stay in here. You stay over there. Stay. 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 Good boy. Well, for what board was there, I did all right. It did split a little bit down to about there, but that's fixable. That was a pretty good one. Not a great board, but I saved all of it. Got a little tongue off that piece, but well, I think we're going to call it a day. Starting to lose my light. Sun is just about to go down. But, show you here the progress we made. I was able to get half that wall off. As you can see, it's kind of slow going. And having to pause to babysit the dog and the steer. So I'm going to take a few minutes, do a little straightening up in here. And then we're probably going to head out. Okay, a couple final thoughts. So I think my plan at this point, take this assortment of blocks that I've got, come down here, and I think I'll need to do some tests. But I think I'll probably need to do 4 rows of blocks. The skids on that are 4x6s. I haven't looked up what the, kind of what the span is on it. But I'm thinking 4 rows. So row at the end, row there, row there, row there at the end. I am going to shrink the cabin footprint just a little bit, make it not quite as long and possibly a little wider, but we'll see. I'm going to raise the walls a foot so there's a lot more usable space in there. So get the blocks all set up, get the skid set on those, throw down some insulation, and then build off that platform. I'm really wanting to use bubble foil, made most famous, at least that I know of, on Boss of the Swamp. He's a big believer in it, and I'm sold on it. It has a price though. It is a little pricey for no more than what I need, so we'll see what I wind up doing. I do have some fiberglass insulation from another project. Not really sure how I would want to do that. I'd have to do a lot of thinking on it, but anyway, that's the plan. Lay the blocks, lay the skids, insulate the floor, lay the floor. Oh, dog sees something. Lay the floor, get the walls up, and try and get a shell up. We were out here the other day with some of Thomas's younger cousins, and so I was just kind of piddling around and decided I wanted to make a couple flower beds out here. So I've got this one done, and I've got to cut and put the stakes on the other one. And we'll pack them with the grass clippings we've been hauling out here. Let them sit till spring. Put some flowers in them.
Deer probably will eat a lot.
Probably.
It'd be cool to have though.
It's about mid-October at this point, and I got to be honest with you guys, I don't know, not frustrated. I'm a little disappointed that I haven't made further progress yet. It was about this time of year I was really hoping to be able to stay out here in the cabin. It's looking like that's probably quite a few weeks away. If I can get the shell up by the first of the year, I think that'd be a good goal. Really like to be able to stay out here. We've talked about doing some tent camping. It's getting cold enough at night. I don't know. I've got a little buddy heater. I'm just not real big on sleeping on the ground. When I was young and dumb, it was no big deal. But so we'll see. But it's all part of the process, I guess. Just kind of learn to take things as they come. And just focus on the positive of the good that it does me just to be out here and working, and just the silence. It's just so nice to be away. Now, obviously I'm recording on my phone, so I'm not playing any music or podcasts or anything, and it's just sounds of nature and the sounds of whatever I'm doing. Just good for my soul. So we're going to sign off for today. Last thing, I just really want to thank everybody that's come along on the ride. Very appreciative of any participation in the channel. And I genuinely hope that it's helping somebody out there. See you guys. I wanted to share something with you guys. First off, I've noticed in doing some editing that I went quite a few videos without really talking much. I just really got focused on getting the building taken apart, and so I wanted to jump in here, future Matt, coming at you, and share something that's been on my heart for a long time, and something I've been trying to do. In brainstorming the channel and kind of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to talk about, things that have been important for me along the way. I want to talk about masculinity and femininity and what those mean, what I think they really are, as opposed to, you know, what our culture tells us they are, etc. But my wife said, you know, before you dive into that, I think you need to just start with identity. What does it mean to be a human? And like most of the time, she was right, made a very, very good point. And so in thinking about that, I was also thinking about a St. John Paul II quote, where he said, "Become who you are." And like with most things JP2, it's beautiful, it's inspiring. It's inspiring and aspiring, right? It makes me want to aspire to be better. But there's also an element of, wait, what? Become who you are? What does that mean? And so I got to thinking, well, who am I? And how can I go deeper into that? And so I thought, well, okay, who I want to be, who I aspire to be is a saint, right? I want to make it to heaven. I'm not super interested in being, I wouldn't be opposed to it, obviously, but the canonization, the recognition by the church that, I've made it to heaven would be amazing. But really, I just want to get there, right? And so I go back to become who you are. Well, who I am, or who I'm called to be, I feel like is a living saint. And a living saint is one that lives in such a way that he or she makes it to heaven. So I started going back through the Gospels and thinking about the different times that Jesus talked about, like the rich young man, or a few other examples of, this is what you have to do to inherit the kingdom, get to heaven. At least that's how I interpret it. And the one that really stuck out to me was in Matthew 18, when it's the scene where the disciples are trying to figure out, who among them is going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And I don't know who finally got up the nerve to ask, but one of them asked Jesus, who among us is going to be greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And his classic response of, bring one of these little children to me. And at least in my mind, as I envision the scene, he's got this small child on his lap, and he looks at his disciples and said, unless you turn and become like one of these little ones, you will not enter into the kingdom. And I realized how much I had struggled with my view of God through most of my life. Or maybe how I viewed myself in relationship to God would be a better way to say that. I had always kind of envisioned myself as, God would speak to me and say, hey, I want you to do this, or I want you to do that. And I would go do that, and not maybe consciously, but in the back of my mind, I thought, okay, well, doing those things that I'm earning God's love more. And again, I don't think that was ever a through thought line I'd ever had, but it was definitely how I was operating. And so revisiting that passage, and I was also listening to podcast called Interior Integration for Catholics by Dr. Peter Milanowski. We'll talk more about him in the future and what he's got going on, but he was talking about this passage, and he even dug into the Latin. And the word that he uses for child there, unless you turn and become like this child, you won't enter into the kingdom of heaven. The Latin is, if I don't butcher it here, parvulus or parvulum, depending on the usage. And most accurately translated, that means little child. Meaning, we're not talking about an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, or even I'd say a 5 or 6-year-old. The best translation for that is almost like infant or maybe toddler. And in listening to that podcast, I started to realize that I need to rethink, whenever I am relating to God, I need to rethink that relationship. And not that God's any different, right? But that I need to see myself different in his light. And so one thing I've been trying to do lately when I pray is imagine myself as a small child, asking a good and loving father, a good dad, for whatever it is that I think I need, or for comfort or relief from anxiety or stress or what have you. And so I don't know, you guys listen to this, I don't know how that's going to hit you, but I can tell you that when I enter into prayer in that position, it allows me to trust the Father a lot more, and it allows me to have more peace, knowing that when I'm relating to God, that I'm essentially an infant or maybe a toddler, which then also helped me in another area, one that I talked about a little bit earlier. If I check the right boxes and I do the right things, then God's going to love me more and he's going to bless me more. And I've heard so many times that there's nothing we can do to disqualify ourselves from the love of God. And I always kind of struggled with that, because there are plenty of people that do plenty of bad stuff, or even my life when I've really messed up, that I certainly don't feel like God loves me the same. But again, if I enter into that mindset of I'm basically an infant or a toddler in God's eyes, if you think about small babies, especially as a parent, there's certainly a lot of things that babies do that that can be stressful, or we all joke about blow out diapers or throwing a fit or whatever. But as a parent, no matter what that kid does, it never makes you love them less. Again, you might be irritated or annoyed or whatever, but literally nothing they can do will make you love them less. And so if we are in that position in relation to God, then that makes more sense to me. I'm just, in my relationship to God, I'm just incapable of doing anything that will make him love me less or that will make him love me more. No matter what I do, he's just going to love me. And again, having that position for me gives me a lot more peace, and a lot more, I'm able to forgive myself when I do mess up a lot easier. So anyway, just some thoughts. I don't know, curious to see what you guys think. Something that's really helped me. I'm definitely still in that process of practicing that. So yeah, love to hear your thoughts. And it sounds like Thomas is just about to wrap it up. So next up, we're gonna go up to the cabin, do some straightening up.